Should the Lakers target Dallas Mavericks center Daniel Gafford? I'm Sean Davis. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button as hard as you possibly can and subscribe here to the channel. You don't want to miss any of our great Lakers content and coverage heading into what's going to be a very, very busy offseason. We'll have draft stuff here. We'll have ideal offseason stuff, trade targets, live streams, a bunch of great stuff. So you're not going to want to miss that. But this is coming off of, a recent report from ESPN's Tim McMahon. And the Dallas Mavericks definitely have a interesting situation that's going to be needed to evaluated here in the future. ESPN's Tim McMahon says that, Daniel Gafford, he wants starting center money, which could lead to a trade. He says that Derek Lively is a year away from getting an extension. Gafford is entering the final year of his contract, and Gafford reasonably and rightly wants to get starting center money. You can't have 80 on a max, Lively on a big contract, and pay Gafford starting center money. And when you look at the Mavericks cap sheet, Tim McMahon provides a great point here. Anthony Davis entry next season is in the beginning of a 3-year extension where he's going to be estimated to make $54.1 million next year. The following year, $58.4 million, and then a $62.7 million player option in the season of 2027-2028, while also having to pay Kyrie Irving this summer potentially. And also, PJ Washington's in a very similar predicament to Gafford, where they are both extension eligible this summer, both entering the final year of their contracts. And like Tim stated, Derek Lively is going to be extension eligible at the end of next season. Otherwise, he'll have a team option for 26-27. He'll be a restricted free agent after that. But I would imagine the Mavs have every intention on locking up Derek Lively long term. Then you also have some other guys you have to worry about paying here soon. Max Christie will be extension eligible at the end of next season, along with like a Najee Marshall. So Dallas has a lot of cap decisions here coming up, and Gafford very much deservedly so, one starting center money. We'll touch on the starting center money piece here in just a second, because I think that could be a little interesting to touch on with Gafford. But let's start with Daniel Gafford and why this potentially makes sense. And the number one thing is the fact that Daniel Gafford obviously has tremendous amounts of chemistry with Luka Doncic as a lob threat, as a guy that's a really good screener, active on the offensive glass. If you look at Gafford throughout his career, Gafford's arguably been a better offensive rebounder than defensive rebounder. This season, Gafford averaged 6.8 rebounds per game. He averaged almost 3 offensive rebounds per game. Even if you go back to last season, 6.9 rebounds per game. He averaged 2.2 offensive rebounds per game. And he's been a really, really good offensive rebounder throughout his career. As a matter of fact, if you look at his career stats, he only has averaged 3.5 defensive rebounds per game compared to 2.2 offensive rebounds per game throughout his entire career. So that'll be something for Gafford that he comes here that will be really, really valuable right away for the Lakers. The lob threat ability, the screening ability, and the fact that he's going to be really, really active on the offensive boards. He's not the most switchable defender. He's fine. I think he is, however, a really, really good rim protector. Like, his defensive analytics and metrics really, really check out in this regard. If you look at just his ability as a anchor, as a rim protector, averaged almost 11 rim contests per 75 possessions, and 43% of shot attempts were contested by Gafford at the rim, breaking the 99th and 86th percentile, respectfully. He does a great job of protecting the rim. Now, again, when you get to some of the movement stuff on the defensive side of the floor, I don't think he's all that spectacular. I think he does have ultra clunky feet, but so I think he's fine there. But the fact that he's not this elite crasher on the defensive glass, or a guy that is able to convert a lot of tough defensive rebounds, is something to kind of keep an eye out on with Daniel Gafford. Bleacher Report did throw out the proposition that, the Lakers have a lot of interest, or they should have a lot of interest in Daniel Gafford. The Mavs, as a matter of fact, quietly sniffed around about a Gafford deal at the deadline. So Luka was the only deal they were talking about at the deadline. A couple of the names that the Lakers could potentially eye this summer with their center spot: Brook Lopez, in free agency, although I don't think that makes a whole bunch of sense. Or you can obviously go after and try to trade for a Robert Williams, a Mitchell Robinson, or a Nick Claxton. And all of those bring their different degrees of positives and negatives. I think Daniel Gafford is the one that makes the most sense. But the thing that is intriguing to me is when you get to this starting center money thing, I also think that's something interesting in the way is like how they want to handle this Austin Reeves thing. And that's something as well that kind of has to get talked about. Not necessarily in this video, but it is something that can be considered. So starting center money, if we look at the year that he is a free agent, 2026, 2027, so he does not have a contract for this season. So summer 2026, you have Embiid making 64 million, AD making 58, Jokic 55, Bam, Cat at 55. He's obviously not going to be in that tier. Then you have Sengun, Rudy Gobert, and Jared Allen making a $30 million plus. And then this is kind of where I think you could land in the range for Daniel Gafford. This is where I'm like, okay, if this is starting level money, then I think you kind of have to do it for a guy like Gafford, where you look at what Isaiah Hartenstein got, Nick Claxton, and Ivica Zubac, all guys that are really good starting caliber bigs, and Claxton's coming off a down year, but really, really capable starting caliber bigs. And Zubac, $19.5 million, Nick Claxton, $24.2 million, and Isaiah Hartenstein, $29 million heading into this season. So, and mind you, Gafford is currently making 13.3. He made 13.3 this year. He'll be making 14.3 next season. So if you're looking at Gafford making 20 to 22 even $million, I would classify it as starting caliber money. There are a lot of starting caliber bigs here. Yaka Kongwu, Yaka Pirtle, Wendell Carter Jr. And there'll be more that trickle in as we get closer and closer to this season that we are specifically talking about. Even if we go to like next season, not the 26th season, even if you go to next season, then you have DeAndre Ayton at $33 million. Then you have a Vucevic at $20 million. Then you have like a Nurkic still at 17.5, which is highway robbery. So Isaiah Stewart at 15, like Naz Reid's on 13.9. That's insane. So Daniel Gafford will be the 22nd highest paid center in the league. And that's just a contract average, excuse me. Did not go for just regular cap hit. But again, if you're telling me that we're looking at like $28 million, I'm sorry, not 28, like $20 to $23 million for Daniel Gafford, I think you kind of have to do that. And with saying that, especially if we were going with this pro Luka Doncic build going forward, I am curious to see how this team kind of builds out the rest of this roster going forward. Because like I talked about in a previous video, they have a massive decision to make regarding Austin Reeves this summer. And there is a legitimate pathway, not saying I agree with it necessarily, to where if they can't sign Austin to that 4-year, $89 million extension, they might look to trade Austin Reeves to recruit some assets while also adding impactful players to the roster. So that's going to be something to keep an eye out on, ladies and gents. But a lot to monitor with this Lakers team heading into this summer, the first summer of the Luka Doncic era. And I know Rob Pelinka with the extensions wants to go into this summer and really, really build a capable roster around Luka that can win titles going forward. But make sure you guys follow me on Twitter /X at Sean_DAVI. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Is the price range I threw out for Daniel Gafford too high? And what do you think? Should the Lakers target Daniel Gafford? I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense in like a Robert Williams or even maybe a Mitchell Robinson. I think it makes a little bit more sense than those guys. But you let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, go Lake Show. I'll catch you guys the next time. Stay safe. Peace out.